So, you thought you'd go to school for a few years and become a proctologist. What happened to you? You used to be in a band. You used to want to be the next Axl Rose. You think Axl Rose spends all of his time looking at buttholes? No, only ones he wants to look at. Bleached buttholes that he snorts cocaine out of. But no, not you. The only buttholes you look at are the school bus drivers, which look to be surrounded by little pink golf balls because those seats give no support to her gluteus. I'm Frank Cline, and it's story time. I'm in 2nd grade. The year is 1994, and I'm sitting in a classroom, 3rd seat from the teacher's desk. In 2nd grade, we started to learn about the state of New Jersey and government and the presidents. And the teacher had a great idea. She was going to teach us all about the presidents and have us do an essay on whatever president we wanted to do. Now in 2nd grade, you don't know many presidents. I mean, you don't know a lot. But I knew 3, and I was the 3rd kid. So I was like, alright, either Washington or Lincoln. Plenty of information about those two. You can find a ton about Washington or Lincoln. Washington, already know crossed the river in 2nd grade. Lincoln got shot. That's a page and a half right there. And, worst comes to worst, the first 2 kids pick one of them. I'll go with Jefferson. Kids also knew Jefferson at that point. But like, Washington and Lincoln were like, if I was applying for Harvard and Yale, and then Jefferson was like my backup. Jefferson was brown. So the first girl, she gets to pick her president, and she picks Bill Clinton, the current president of the time, which she was the type of kid who I'm sure thought, oh, look at me, I know the current president, aren't I smart? Like she was showing off a bit, which if you're in 2nd grade and you know a president, you know the current president, I guess that's like, yeah, that's sort of impressive. What else do you know? Mongooses eat snakes. Oh, I guess that's something we could talk about at Thanksgiving. That's pretty much it. It's not really that cool, but I was hype. I was like, oh, yes, she picked Clinton. Now I'm either getting to pick Washington or Lincoln. Next girl goes up. She picks Washington. Fine. No problem at all. And I bet she had like the same thought as me when the first girl went. She's like, whatever that girl picks, I'm either picking Washington or Lincoln. Every kid either picks Washington or Lincoln. It's a no-brainer. So it comes to me. I pick Lincoln. And I'm already, she goes to the 4th kid. 4th kid, struggling a little bit. He's like, I guess Jefferson. I'm like, yeah. I knew this is how this would turn out. After that, I didn't really pay attention anymore because they're just calling out presidents, and I'm concentrating on Lincoln. But there's a bit of a disturbance going on in the class because there's a good amount of kids in that class. 20 so kids probably, maybe even 30. You don't know that many presidents. You run out of names very quick. By like the 6th kid, he was like, Ben Franklin? That's not a president. Walt Whitman? You're just naming bridges. Okay? You don't know what you're doing. Well, as you can imagine, a bunch of 2nd graders, fights started breaking out. Arguments. They started bickering. He picked my president. She picked my president. Teacher had enough. Well, okay, that's it. Nobody's getting to pick a president now. We're going to do this all over. I'm putting numbers in a hat. Whatever number you get, you come up here, you look at the board. She had a big old poster of all the presidents. Whatever number coincides with the president, that's who you're doing the report on in 1994. Should be no problem at all. So, I'm the 3rd one to pick, and I pick number 30. And I knew, because of school and all, that we were on, what's Clinton, the 40th president? 41st? Something like that. So I knew, oh, okay, we're kind of close. But no, I was sadly mistaken. Walked up to the board, 30th president. Anybody know? Calvin Coolidge. Who the hell is that? I'm thinking in my small 2nd grade mind. And she says, well, you can always use the internet for it. Do you know what the internet was like in 1994? Wasn't good. There was no CalvinCoolidge.com. I mean, maybe there was. No, there definitely wasn't. There wasn't Wikipedia. If you type something into Google, 9 times out of 10, you found porn. Or like a weird, it was just porn. Maybe some kind of blog somebody wrote, like a fan fiction type thing. Maybe that always involves Sonic for some reason. But never actual information you needed. not about obscure things. And though he shouldn't be, Calvin Coolidge was kind of obscure. So I had to do this the old-fashioned way. I had to go to the libraries. Now let's take a little left turn here before we go on with Calvin Coolidge, so I can tell you my history with librarians. Librarians, and I do not know why, fucking hate me. They do, for as long as I can remember. I think it started when I was in kindergarten, and we learned about fiction and nonfiction. Maybe I was a little bit older than that. But anyway, we went down to the library that day, and me, thinking I'll be all smart and impress some librarians, asked for a nonfiction book. And you would have thought that I asked them to cure cancer that was mutated with AIDS cancer. Of course I didn't. I just asked for a nonfiction book, but they lost their minds. This was a library that only went up to like 5th grade. They didn't have nonfiction books. They didn't have documentaries. It was like Clifford the Big Red Dog, maybe a few Where's Waldos that aren't really books, but, you know, looks like a book. And that, I think they were legitimately mad that I put them on this epic quest, and they just handed me something, some dusty old book that, I'm not even kidding, was about cogs, like how machines work, basically. Like, oh, this thing turns this thing. The teeth in this cog turn the teeth in that cog. So when it goes in this motion, the other one goes in that motion. That's what they handed me. And I think they were pissed. And I think they went to like their secret librarian meeting that night, which I imagine is exactly like Eyes Wide Shut, and made sure that I was on some blacklist, blackballed, right? The Hollywood list of just, whenever this kid comes into a library, treat him like shit. So that's what we had to do. We had to go to libraries. I dragged my poor mother to like every library I could find, trying to find books about fucking Calvin Coolidge. You know what his nickname is? The Quiet President. They don't write a lot of things about people who are quiet. Not very much at all. I found one book that talked about how much he liked corn muffins. That's not enough information for an essay. So then there was a book of his phrases, or not his phrase, like the political slogans, and it was "Keep Cool with Coolidge." One book had like pages dedicated to all the presidents. They got to Coolidge, it was less than a paragraph. It was, he was born on the 4th of July. That's pretty neat. And that was it. I did find 2 books with very little information about Calvin Coolidge in each book. Like, maybe each book together formed a page. It was like how he went to Vermont, or how he lived in Vermont, blah, blah, blah. So I tried to check out these 2 books, and the librarian looks, and she goes, "Is this for a school project?" I was like, "Yeah, gotta do an essay about Calvin Coolidge." She goes, "Well, you can only check out 1 book." Why? She goes, "Well, that's just our policy. What if another kid comes in here? Then there won't be any books for him to check out." I was like, No, you don't understand. I'm literally like 8 towns over right now. I'm doing a report on Calvin Coolidge. The other kids aren't doing a report on Calvin Coolidge, so it doesn't even matter." She's like, "Doesn't matter. School project, you can only take 1 book." I was like, "All right, I'm doing it because I like Calvin Coolidge." And she got really mad that I was like trying to pull one over on her, and she's like, "You just said it was a project. Don't lie." And then my mom was there, and she got real defensive, and it was like, "Don't call my son a liar," even though I clearly just lied to a librarian. My mom was more just pissed off that she was like, "I've gone to 20 goddamn libraries. I finally find 2 books about Calvin Coolidge. This bitch ain't letting us check one out." So they literally got kind of heated at each other, to the point where the librarian just went, "You know what, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to check out any books. Good day." And we left. Bookless. So yeah, me and my mama got kicked out of a library. So we're pretty hardcore. Tough hombres there. Yeah. When I was in school, I had another problem with the librarian. It was like 2004, and I had to do a report on my dream job. But I remembered the lessons I learned from good old Calvin Coolidge, and realized, okay, I want to be a comedian, but there's probably not a lot of information on being a comedian. So, I don't know. How about music producer? Figured there'd be more information on that. So, I'm in the school's library on their computer, and I start typing in stuff for music, and I guess it tried to take me to like MTV, and the site was blocked by the school. So I got that like warning, you're trying to go to an unauthorized site. And all I did was I just, alright, backspace, whatever, went to the homepage, and then the librarians remote accessed my computer, because I guess they like can see all the computers, and they got a warning message, and typed into the address bar, Mr. Cline, we are watching you. Like, that was going to blow my mind. Like, oh my god, is the Matrix Morpheus? Holy shit. Librarians are wizards. No. I was like, yeah, I know how that program works. You just, whatever. So I tried, like, typing back in the address bar. I was like, sorry, doing a report. Didn't know site would be blocked. And then the librarian came over to me, and she's like, what are you trying to look up? I was like, I'm doing a report. She's like, what's your report on? I'm like, it's gotta be my dream job. Well, what did you choose for your dream job? Said, music producer. And she huffs and goes, music producer is not an occupation. I was like, music. She's like, you can't have music as a job. Nobody's job is music. I said the biggest name of like 2004. I'm like, okay, tell that to Britney Spears. In a completely serious voice, she goes, Britney Spears doesn't make music. She's a dancer. What? Even if that was true, you think nobody in the history of the world has ever made a career out of making music? That's insane. Like, why don't you get off your high horse of being a librarian? Librarians hate me. A few years ago, I bought a calendar that had the national holidays for each day. And every day, I just told the internet what the national holiday was, and some people thought it was funny, like 4 people. Most people deleted me off Facebook because they found it very annoying. I don't care. But a lot, and I mean a lot of those holidays involve librarians. They have a monopoly on national holidays. Back to Calvin Coolidge. I go up to my teacher and I'm like, listen, the only thing I know about Calvin Coolidge is he likes corn muffins. She goes, well, see, that's interesting. I didn't know that. She goes, you're going to be the one who tells me about Calvin Coolidge. I know very little about him. And I was like, oh, you don't know shit either. So I bullshitted the entire essay. I was like, Calvin Coolidge invented kickball. Because she don't fucking know. What's she going to do? Type that into Google and she's going to get porn. So I just bullshitted all of it. I was like, Calvin Coolidge, born on the 4th of July. Really liked fireworks, and that's how that started. Whatever, I don't care. I don't think that's true. Calvin Coolidge's slogan was keep cool with Coolidge, and before him nobody really had a slogan like that. His really took off. And also, it's when we started calling things cool. He invented that. Nobody else thought to call things cool. Calvin Coolidge did it first, and then we adopted that. And I somehow got an A. Which either means my teacher was stupid or I'm really good at bullshitting. So I kind of have this love-hate relationship with Calvin Coolidge because he sort of taught me, hey, by the way, kid, you can lie in life and usually get away with it. That's a bad lesson for a 2nd grader, but I adopted it into comedy. Learned how to become a storyteller. Learned how to bullshit a little bit. Most of this story's not even fucking true. Wow. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. You'll never know. You'll probably know. On my deathbed, I'll be like, I exaggerated a bit about the Calvin Coolidge story. And then I die. Well, anyway, I hope this was fun for you. And on this 4th of July, remember the man who was born on this day. And the reason we celebrate fireworks. Mr. Calvin Coolidge. I'm Frank Cline. And this has been Storytime. Thanks for listening.